There it is. What's up, you guys? Today I wanted to give a review on one of Canon's latest cameras, the R5c, and my hands-on review of what I thought about it using a cinema camera also mixed with a mirrorless camera. So I picked this camera up for the weekend and I used it for about 2 weddings. And so far I would say it looks like a pretty good camera. I haven't done any of the edits yet. I just looked back on some of the footage as far as shooting XF AVC and C-Log 3. I haven't quite finished any of the weddings yet, but I can plug in some of the footage so you guys can check it out. So far, I would say the camera is pretty cool. I really didn't use much photo of the photo specs with the camera. I used a lot more of the video side because I wanted to see how cinematic my stuff could look. And you know, I do shoot a lot of films, you know, Last of the Force. Go check that out when you get a chance, you know what I mean? I would say the camera looks, you know, pretty good as far as getting the shots and everything like that that I want. But I'm not necessarily sold on this camera quite just yet for video specs. Again, I didn't have like a CFast card or anything like that to where I could get like its maximum power, but if I did, I think the battery may run out even faster on this thing. So that's one of the huge drawbacks. I'm gonna start off with the negatives that I experienced first. The battery life was rough. So I know people on YouTube, they tend to rig it out and everything like that. I didn't have a chance to do anything like that. I just got done using the using some of these bad boys here to go into here. So I don't know if this is, I don't think this is a good match, man. They probably should have had a different type of power supply going to this camera, because I think I changed out this battery maybe about 7 times each wedding, and one wedding wasn't even that long, maybe a 3-4 hour, you know, quick reception. I was switching it back, you know, using my EOS R mainly for like power, basically, or taking batteries out of that to put them in this and putting the other ones on the charger while the reception is going on. That was tough, but I understood what was going on before I even had started shooting the wedding, because I watched so many reviews on YouTube and whatnot, stuff like that. But I would say it's a good camera, especially if you just wanna. I would say this about this camera. This camera is definitely intentional. You have to be intentional with your shots, and definitely turn the camera. You got your camera mode here as far as like, you know, your switch is on and off. When you're not shooting with this thing and you just have these LPHs, turn this camera off. You got it on the gimbal or anything, have it off, and whenever if things are set and you feel like something's about to happen, turn it back on, get ready to hit your record button. That'll be right here, the red button. So that way you'll have a lot more power, at least, you know, you're kind of like a sniper with this camera. Like, you gotta be very precise. Who's shooting? All right, turn it on, bang. The R5s, they say they have a lot of problems with overheating. This one didn't. I could feel the fan blowing. You got the vents here that kind of give you the, you know, I'm guessing cool it off. I don't know, but I had this on a Crane 3. That was a little bit too light of a setup for me, because this camera is actually light, man. It looks like it may have some real weight on it, but it's pretty light, you know what I mean? But all I have right now is my Crane 3. I may get a different gimbal in the future. But as far as I know, I mean, it seemed like it turned out to be pretty good. Yes, you definitely have to be a sniper with it. You definitely need to turn this camera off. And also, while I was shooting with this camera, you know, this is the on and off for like stop and go recording, the red button. I did have a few times where I would think I had stopped the camera because for whatever reason, you know, you're in the moment. I didn't press this, so you know, you go back and look at the footage, you like, man, this camera was still rolling the whole time, and I'm sitting here talking to people and stuff like that, you know what I mean? It's just crazy. But I started catching on pretty fast of, you know, what the start and stop was on how to use this camera. Is this camera worth after taxes, close to about 5 grand. In my opinion, right now, I would probably say no. For me, unless you rig it up and get like a power supply or something, but just to be ripping and running and grabbing batteries and putting it back on a charger, and you know, you may miss a shot, you know, depending on what you shoot. I mean, if you kind of, you know, run and gun, or if I had been like doing some films like I normally do with, you know, with my cast and crew, maybe things would have been a little bit different. You know, you still got your batteries on hand, and you can kind of have people pause, you know, especially if you're the director, you can kind of have people pause and, you know, do what you want them to do. But for weddings and events, things that are not timed and not on your time schedule, I don't know about this. Unless, like I said before, you plan to rig it out with a different power supply. Maybe I should try something like that. I'll probably try something like that. The pros to this, like I said, I didn't really get to use the CFast card or anything like that, but I know that you can go up high frame rates and get that super smooth, slow motion, stuff like that. So I'll probably eventually end up doing that with this camera, but just off the rip, grabbing this camera and putting it in your hands and going to shoot events and stuff like that, you may be a little disappointed because you're not used to it like you are with your mirrorless cameras and your hands-on, easy grab and go cameras. Now the menu for this camera, if you've never used a cinema camera before, which I have, you know, on set with some of the people that I've worked with, but just running and gunning on my own with a cinema camera with no crew or anything, this would be the first time. Now looking at the menu, it can be a little confusing at first, but just play around with it and you should kind of figure it out after a while. It's not like our old EOS Rs and your R6s and your R5s and things like that. It still works generally well. Some of that stuff you see in the menu system will be like, okay, I think I know what that means. And so go look it up. You got Google to help you out, YouTube to help you out. You should be fine. Overall, yeah, scale of 1 out of 10, just with no CFast card, the battery, I don't know, man, I'd probably give it like 6.5, close to a 7. Now granted, like I said, CFast card, power supply, you may be looking at maybe a 9 or a 10. You know, I've seen people on the YouTube platform that really make this camera work, but we'll have to see. I would definitely want to shoot some of my films and my movies with it very soon, just so we can get a real take on it. But this is just a first on picking up the camera, first time review. You grab it, go, you're a shooter, you've been shooting videos on EOS Rs, your R5s, your R6s, not the cinema line. You may like it, you may like it, you may like it. But that's for me, probably give it 6.5, 7. So that's pretty much my review from using it. The C-Log 3, I haven't color graded anything yet, but I will be putting in some clips in there so you guys can kind of check that out. Also, again, like I always say, I'm not really sure if the guys that want to be like filmmakers or the girls that want to be filmmakers need a camera like this just yet, because if you're trying to get on like these big platforms like the Netflix and all of that kind of stuff, I don't even think they take R5c footage. I think they're looking for like C70s and C Mark IIs and stuff like that. This would be a good thing to use to get you in the door if you just want to make some really nice videos, but at the same time you can do that with your mirrorless camera and it costs way cheaper. You could probably get a lens and the body for this price, and maybe a microphone, some audio equipment or something. So if, in my opinion, if you were going to get a actual like cinema camera, or if you were trying to get, you know, get on like a big platform like a Netflix, or you want to make some like legit movies that are gonna like be based on these big platforms, as of now, as of yet, you would probably have to get a C70 or, you know, something like that. The C Mark IIIs, the Area Alexas, those kind of things. But you can still make really dope stuff with this, which I plan on probably doing in the future. It all boils down to what I always say. You do not always need the best. These folks they're gonna be making a lot of money off of people that just rush out and buy things and don't really have an idea of what they want to do. So be intentional with your money on how you want to use it, as far as what direction and career you want to go with in your future. If you want to do films and stuff like that, if you want to post them on Netflix or put them on these platforms, look at what they accept as far as resolution and what kind of cameras they take, before you go out and spend this lump sum of money, because you may be able to save that money and get something that actually works for those platforms, if that makes sense. Or if you just want to make some dope stuff, you can do that with that too, with this. But at the same time, like I said, I think you can probably get an R5 or the cameras that we already have and really make dope content, still make films and things like that, and kind of save your money and buy audio equipment and buy lenses and stuff like that. So don't always be out in a rush to go try to get something and think it's gonna be the thing that saves your filming or your production or, you know, your career or whatnot. Just be creative with what you have first. You do not always need the best. If you have the money to do that, go ahead and do that. Anything else I can think of, I'm trying to squeeze it in right now. Issues that I had with the camera: there was no overheating, there was no, the only thing I didn't like was the battery life. That's probably the main thing. I slapped my 24-70 millimeter on there and got some pretty cool shots, movement shots. What else did we go through? I really just run the gun with this camera. So those are my thoughts. If you have any questions about the R5c, what I went through with it, I'll post another video. I'll also be posting the actual weddings and the things that I did, the shoots that I did with this very soon. But if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comment below. We'll see what this slow-mo looks like. A lot of that I shot at 60 FPS. Like I said, I didn't use a CFast card, and the battery was what it was. That's all we had. Thank you guys for coming back. Dunlap Films. Keep on creating, and y'all enjoy y'all's day. Oh, quick side note. If you haven't checked out Last of the Force yet, pull it up on your search engines on YouTube, TikTok. Go check it out. Episode 3 on the way. Lightsabers. Sheesh.